Dear all, Autism Learning Materials Supermarket is an autism community project implemented by NBAI, AI for Autism, Job4autism and Mr. Duong Lam to provide authentic and updated 24/7 documents thanks to artificial intelligence for parents with children with autism and related disorders, specialized teachers, inclusive teachers, and therapists. Today, we would like to introduce video N.98, AI and Autism at Work, Empowerment or Conformity.
So, today we're diving into a really big and honestly a pretty complex question. Is artificial intelligence going to be the tool that finally unlocks the workplace for autistic people? Or is it going to become this new high-tech way to pressure them to conform? The answer, as you'll see, isn't simple at all, and it tells us a ton about the future of work for everyone. First things first, let's just start with a pretty stark reality. Here in the US, it's estimated that at least 85% of autistic adults are unemployed. And look, that's not just a statistic, right? It represents this massive, untapped pool of talent and potential that our entire workforce is just missing out on. And that's where things get kind of paradoxical. Because as Richard Kubina from Penn State points out, you have this whole group of people who have skills that are a perfect fit for the tech industry, but they face these huge barriers to even getting a foot in the door. So why is that happening? And how is AI supposed to be the solution? All right, so let's kick things off with the sunny side of the story. The big promise of AI as this bridge to employment. A lot of really smart people and innovative companies are betting that it can fundamentally change the game. You see, many of the cognitive strengths that are often associated with autism are exactly what the tech world is desperate for. We're talking about incredible attention to detail, pattern recognition, super logical thinking. These aren't just skills, they're practically superpowers for things like data analysis, quality assurance, and even AI development itself. So to tap into these strengths, you've got universities and startups getting really creative. Penn State, for example, has a $1 million grant to help prepare autistic students for careers in AI. Then you have companies like Mentra, which uses its own AI to match neurodivergent talent with employers, going way beyond just, keywords on a resume. And check this out. The results are pretty staggering. Mentra is reporting a 97.5% one-year retention rate for the employees it helps place. This tells you it's not just about getting people in the door. It's about finding the right fit, where someone can actually thrive long-term.
Okay, but that's just one side of the story. Now we have to look at the other side, the much more critical argument, the fear that AI could become a tool for enforcing conformity. It's a phenomenon that's being called digital masking.
So what exactly is masking? Well, imagine having to constantly and consciously hide your natural autistic traits just to try and blend in with what are considered neurotypical social expectations. It's an incredibly draining process. It's a survival strategy, yeah, but man, it comes at a huge cost. And that cost, it can be absolutely devastating. As the advocacy group Neuroclastic reports, having to mask all the time is a significant predictor of suicidality. So what this means is that any tech that encourages masking isn't just unhelpful, it's potentially really, really dangerous. Now, critics are pointing their fingers at some specific AI-powered tools as prime examples of this problem. Things like a VR job interview simulator that coaches you on how to perform neurotypical body language, or a social robot designed to, quote, improve your tolerance of interruptions. The real concern here is that these tools are basically teaching autistic people that they are the problem, instead of fixing the broken, inaccessible environment. And this slide right here, it just lays it all out, side by side. It's really the two competing philosophies. On one side, you've got AI designed to change the person to fit the system. And on the other, the goal is to change the workplace itself, moving from these stressful interview simulations to actual skill-based trials, and from rigid expectations to genuine acceptance. And a Reddit user named Avery just nails it with this quote. If you use AI to train yourself to mask your way through an interview, and you actually get the job, well, you've just signed yourself up for an impossible standard. The expectation to keep that act up every single day, it's a one-way ticket to burnout. Okay, so where does that leave us? It feels like we're stuck between two extremes, right? Well, this leads us to a third, much more nuanced path. Instead of being some top-down training tool, a lot of autistic people are using AI on their own terms, as a personal assistant for self-empowerment. And this is really where the story takes a turn. People are taking general-purpose AI like ChatGPT or these cool specialized apps like Goblin tools and using them, not to change who they are, but to help manage the stuff that can feel totally overwhelming in a typical work environment. Okay, here's a perfect example of what that looks like. You're facing a massive to-do list, right? You can just hand it over to an AI and ask it to help you prioritize. Or maybe you're overwhelmed by a huge project, like write the report. You can ask the AI to break it down into tiny, manageable steps. It's basically an executive function tool, on demand. Here's another brilliant way people are using it, navigating those tricky social communications. Let's say you're struggling to write a polite but firm email. You can just ask an AI to draft it for you. It offloads all that cognitive and emotional labor of having to translate your direct thoughts into neurotypical, friendly corporate jargon. And the creator of Goblin tools, Bram de Boyser, really hits on why this works so well. The AI is impersonal. It doesn't judge you for asking for help, it doesn't get annoyed if you ask the same question 10 times, and it never gets tired. It offers assistance without any of that social anxiety attached. Okay, this brings us to what might be the most important piece of this whole puzzle, because AI, even as this amazing personal assistant, is not a silver bullet. For it to be truly effective, it has to be part of a much bigger, systemic shift towards real inclusion. I mean, think about it. The best app in the world can't fix a toxic work culture or a broken hiring process. Real progress needs what's called an assistive technology, or AT ecosystem. So this diagram here shows you exactly what that looks like. And notice the layers, right? Right there in the very center, you have the individual, the person using the tech. They're supported directly by that next ring, the enabling workplace. But for that workplace to actually work, it has to be held up by that outermost ring, the foundational pillars of the whole system. And what are these big foundational pillars? Well, you're talking about things like financing, so people can actually afford the technology. You need government policies that mandate reasonable accommodations. And, maybe most importantly, you need to involve users, autistic people, in creating the tools they're actually going to use. And it all requires a major shift toward a disability-confident culture. So, at the end of the day, what this all boils down to is that the tech is just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle. Without those other elements in place, the policy, the funding, the culture, AI's incredible potential for empowerment is just going to stay stuck. Which leaves us right back where we started, with this huge question. The technology is here, but the path it takes, that's on us. Will we use AI to finally redesign our workplaces to embrace neurodiversity? Or will we just use it to create a more sophisticated, higher-tech version of the mask? The choice is ours to make.
Autism Learning Materials Supermarket would like to thank parents, teachers, and interventionists. Please disseminate to relevant people in the autism community so that more and more people can access this authentic and scientific learning resource. To raise awareness in the community, please subscribe to watch the next videos. For any questions, please contact the email below.